The Nigerian Association of Road Transport Owners has written to the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority to request an increase in freight rates for the transportation of fuel by their trucks. There's the letter right there. The letter referenced President Buhari's approval of the upward review of the freight rate amid the rising cost of automotive gas oil, AGO, otherwise known as diesel, which has risen to almost 800 naira per litre. In our Abuja studio, we're joined by the National President of the Nigerian Association of Road Transport Owners, Alhaji Othman Lawal Yusuf. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. Wanted to first get your take on the cause of the fuel queues, because there's a theory that NARTO is probably the cause of these queues. There's a headline here from back in February. I want to put it up on our screen so you can see it. It's from The Guardian. And in that particular headline, do we have that headline? Let's take a, we have to put that up there so you can take a look at it. But essentially, the headline said, panic buying as NATO threatens strike. Yes, there it is. And we circled it. That was 8th February of 2022. Fuel scarcity, panic buying in Lagos as NATO threatens a strike. Now, there was clarification later. NATO said, no, we are not we're threatening a strike. We're just saying that the price of diesel is so high that we can no longer transport fuel from the depots to the retail outlets in a profitable manner. Now, sir, this was back in February. This is now June, and diesel is almost 800 naira per litre. So the theory is that NATO stopped delivering the fuel from the depots to the retail centers, reducing the supply and causing the lines that we're seeing. Is that theory correct, or is it absolutely wrong?
Yeah, good afternoon, viewers. That is not a true situation. Yes, February there was such a complaint by most of our members that the high cost of diesel is hampering operations. You know, diesel is more or less about 60 to 70% of our operational cost. And at that time, we approached the Midstream and Downstream Regulatory Agency, and they immediately got necessary approval. They approved 25% immediately, and that was, you know, into force. But, you know, from that time to now, at that time, diesel was about 450. Today, diesel is 800 and more. And, of course, nobody envisaged such meteoric rise. But notwithstanding, the agency on their own sought necessary approval from the president. Of course, they are aware that will come, but they got the approval themselves from the president, and this increase was released last week and beginning of this week. So I believe, yes, there are some queues, and it may not be unconnected with the fact that some transporters, because of the high cost of diesel, did not deploy their vehicles. But with this new approval, I think we should have some sanity in the system, like I said. So many of transporters have been informed of this new approval, and I believe this new approval will go a long way to make positive impact into our businesses.
Okay, great stuff. Okay, so I'm glad you mentioned it was 450 back in February. It's almost 800 now. That's almost a 100% increase, right? Your letter, yes, that we put up, that letter that you wrote to the regulator, is asking for, I believe it's an increase to 10 naira per litre with respect to the increase that you're looking for freight rates. Does that going to 10 naira per litre, 10 naira for the freight increase effective July 1st, does that make you profitable? Does that account for the increase you've seen in diesel of almost 100% between just February to June?
Yeah, actually there is some misconception. To those who don't know how the thing works, when you add 10 naira, is you add 10 naira to the fund. It's not 10 naira per litre as in the real value of 10 naira. The Equalization Trust Fund, hitherto, was 10 naira 46 kobo. And with that 10 naira 46 kobo, it later on translates to other rates from various places, let's say from Lagos to Abuja, Lagos to Kaduna. Now, additional 10 naira is injected into that fund, making it 20 naira 46 kobo. So, it's not actual the 10 naira value. In some cases, you will see 15 naira or more addition. Although, of course, it is 10 naira that is added. So, but sincerely speaking, this is very adequate to take care of our businesses for now and probably in the foreseeable future.
Okay, I want to read another part of the letter. I actually wish we'd put that up, but we thought it was more important to put up the 10 naira rate. But let me read this. We wish to reiterate that the upward review in freight rates does not, and you put the not in big capital letters, translates to an increase in the current regulated PMS pump price of 165. How does that work? How is it that if you are revising upwards your costs of freights to transport it, how does that not impact the 165 price right now?
Well, that is, people should appreciate, good things done. Sincerely speaking, a PMS price in Nigeria is sold at 165. But when you look at the neighboring countries, it's probably 500 naira or more. But it is the government policy to sell at 165, irrespective of other odds, against all odds. So it has to be at that. And the way government will find a way to increase the 10 naira to us and still maintain 165 naira is entirely in their own purview. As far as we are concerned, they've increased the freight rate. And I'm sure they have found a window to take care of such changes. But sincerely, the government is trying very, very, very hard to sell PMS at 165. Ordinarily, the market price should have been 500 naira or more.
Okay.
So it is really a very wonderful, gesture, which should be appreciated.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not sure if you're being sarcastic when you say that, but I do want to point this out. If fuel prices were going for 500 naira, as you've just said, doesn't that benefit you? Because you are transporting the product and the input, because look, we're talking about input costs that make up the final costs of fuel. It's like tomatoes. If you're buying tomatoes from the farm, the cost of transporting those tomatoes from the farm to get to the urban centers or wherever are built in when you finally go to the market to buy the tomatoes. So it's the same thing as anybody going to the retail centers to go and buy fuel. If the downstream sector was deregulated and fuel was selling for 500 naira, as you've just said, would NARTO not be making more money? Would the truckers that move it from the depots to the retail centers, would you not be making more money?
No, you see, we are just on errand. And this is the fixed amount that we are paid for that errand. Irrespective of the purchase cost of whatever we are sent on errand, our fixed rate still remains. PMS sold at 165. We go from Lagos probably to Abuja at probably 25 naira. If tomorrow there is full deregulation, we will still have a fixed price, so it doesn't really affect us because we are on errand. I don't know whether you understand clearly what I mean.
Can you help me understand this errand? Help me, because if it's deregulated and transport, you've mentioned Lagos to Abuja, there are further distances than that. In fact, your letter has a full table which we couldn't fit on our screen, but you've got all these different freight rates depending on the distance and so on. So help us understand that.
Yes, because from one location to another, they have different rates. But the government decides to equalize the rate irrespective of the locations. But as far as we are concerned, we are distributing this petroleum product at a price. And that price remains. So for us, the distributors, we don't have any margin, whether regulated or not regulated. The price the rate we are being paid still remains by whoever is sending us. That's what we are saying. But probably to the marketers, for example, the jet oil and the diesel, AGO, they are not regulated, they are deregulated. So their rates differ from one location to another. But the transportation cost that we are being paid still remain the same.
Okay, well,
irrespective of the fact that diesel is regulated, jet oil is regulated, and deregulated, and PMS is regulated.
That is fascinating. So wait, okay, so that obviously doesn't work. For you to say that you are paid a flat rate, regardless of the distance that you travel to deliver the fuel, I mean, look, the marketers right now are pushing back against the regulator. You've seen the letter from the press conference when we broke it here. We've covered this extensively from IPMAN, the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria. They said, we can't sell at 165 naira per liter anymore. We're selling at 180. We can't do it. It doesn't make economic sense. Would you not be in that same pool where your transport costs have to reflect the distance at which you are traveling to deliver them? So shouldn't you be saying, talking to the regulator about allowing that room for the difference in distance to deliver the fuel?
You see, you don't understand. What I said is that, for example, if we load from Lagos to Ilorin, it's different rate from Lagos to Ilorin and Lagos to Minna, and probably Lagos to Suleja. We are paid per distance.
Oh, okay.
But what I'm saying, because we are paid per distance, but then that is it. Whether it's regulated or deregulated, we don't have any difference. Yes, the IPMAN marketers have their own opinion in this respect, but it is not their call. It is the call of the government and the downstream agency, and they have decided to sell fuel at 165. You understand?
Yes.
They have to comply.
Okay.
If they have any beef, is that they discuss with the authority and they sort out. And I believe the authority, they have a very good listening ear. It is by virtue of this listening ear that from April to now we've got some reviews and they've listened to us and we appreciate.
Okay. Well, I want to get your thoughts on what the average Nigerian thinks about what the government should be doing about fuel prices. This is from a report. Our reporter down in Bayelsa, Obieteme George, he was speaking to some people about it. I want to get your thoughts on what this gentleman said in Bayelsa.
I'm calling on the government to be proactive. They should bring down the price of petroleum products in Nigeria. The common masses, they are suffering.
What do you make of that?
Yeah, of course, we want the petroleum product prices to come down as much as possible. But you see, we have to appreciate where we are today. We don't have active refineries. These petroleum products are being imported from other countries using foreign currency. That's one. Two, we are in a difficult time now because where we get this product, they are affected by this Ukraine-Russia war. So this is it. We have to appreciate all these factors to make sure that the market realities prevail. But notwithstanding, still they are selling, government is selling officially at 165. I think they've tried and they are trying in this regard. For us operators, we want government to remove its hand. Really, that's our prayer as per the PIA. But government's decision is final, which we appreciate and we respect.
Thank you so much for joining us, sir, and thanks for enlightening us on how the freight rates work and how you are compensated by government for your service. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it, Mr. Alhaji Othman Yusuf Lawal, President of the National Association of Road Transport Operators. Appreciate your time.